Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have quite a special video. We are going to be watching Jesse Lee Peterson and Galvin McGinnis talk about racism. Now, some of you are probably thinking, well, two guys sitting down talking about racism, what's so special about that? And that's probably because you don't know who these two gentlemen are. So let me explain to you who we're dealing with here. Let's start with Mr. McGinnis here. Now, Galvin McGinnis is a very interesting individual. He's an author, he's a comedian, he's a conservative commentator, he's one of the co-founders of Vice Media. He's also a complete idiot.
Went to see Spider-Man with the kids the other night. All kids love Spider-Man. Although my kids were the only kids at the theater because we have an infantilized adulthood with a bunch of geriatric teenagers going to see all these superhero movies. Superheroes, by the way, are made for little kids to pretend that they can beat up adults. And I think the suffragette movement, the whole like women should vote, was guys going, why don't you fucking say that you should vote? And the ladies go, what? I was making a lasagna. No, get up there. Say, I need to vote. I'm a lady. And they go, okay, I'm a lady. There's a layer of patheticness here, though, that no one is talking about. Namely, I don't care if video games are sexist or not sexist or politically correct. Video games are for little kids. Why are adults playing video games?
But you know what? Regardless of what you or I think about Mr. McGinnis and his comments, actually most of the video isn't about him. He's the interviewer. He's the guy asking the questions. The video I'm going to show you is more focused around Jesse Lee Peterson. The best way I can describe Jesse Lee Peterson to someone who's never heard of him is, imagine if Donald Trump and Uncle Ruckus had a baby. I think that's all you need to know about these two idiots. So without further ado, let's get into the video.
Let's talk to Jesse Lee Peterson for a second. You want to talk to him?
I think it's fascinating. I can't wait.
It's fascinating? You mean the guy's fascinating?
Yeah.
Jesse Lee Peterson.
Wait a minute. What? So it's just this woman walking down the streets of what I assume is New York, just wearing nothing but paint and feathers. You're just gonna ignore that? I have so many questions from this one clip. Where is she from? Why is she doing this? Does she dress like that often? Is this like a regular thing? Is she from there? Does she even know who Jesse Lee Peterson is? Like, what the hell? What kind of journalist are you?
Thank you for coming on the show.
It's an honor to be here.
No, I'm honored to have you on the show.
You're a funny guy.
No, you're a funny guy.
No.
No, I like you more.
You beat me.
I want to ask you a very controversial question.
Yes.
You ready for this? It's a doozy.
I'm ready.
It's 2018 in America. Does racism exist?
Absolutely not. And it has never existed.
Whoa!
It has never.
Whoa!
It's a made-up word.
What about the picture in the 60s with the German shepherds on the black guy, the civil rights movement, and the cops, and the guy like that?
Well, that's because you were having protests. Whenever you could have a protest today, and if people go out of control, you're going to see the same thing.
This idiot really just said that the reason Bloody Sunday happened is because people were protesting. Jesse, you dumb fuck. The reason they were protesting to begin with is because they wanted equal rights with white people. That's pretty fucking basic. Like, how do you... Ugh.
It was just a protest. And you're hearing this from a man. I grew up in Alabama. I grew up under the Jim Crow laws. I went to an all-black school. There were signs that says for colors only, for whites only.
That sounds pretty racist.
Yeah. But it wasn't racist. It was a law that was brought about by the Democrats. And they brought that law into effect, and it separated people.
Jesse, he didn't ask you who made the damn laws. He asked you about the laws themselves. The laws themselves were racist. The fact of the matter is that the reason people had separate water fountains and separate restaurants is because of racism. Black people weren't allowed in the same swimming pool as white people because white people didn't want to get dirty. That is racist.
By law, but yet most blacks and whites got along.
Oh yeah, they got along real well.
They knew that all white people were not against black people. It was a law and people just obeyed the law at the time.
Yes, but why do you think those laws existed to begin with? It was to keep black people down and to keep black people separate. Again, black people weren't allowed to use the same swimming pool as white people because they were thought of as dirty. Black children weren't allowed to attend the same schools as white children. Black people weren't allowed to get married to white people and vice versa. Another thing, the schools that the black kids would go to was always crappier than the ones that the white kids went to. Can't imagine why that was.
The law at the time. And when I was growing up, I had to pick cotton. The guys were taking out.
You were born on a plantation.
Have you ever picked cotton?
No, sir.
You have not lived until you pick cotton.
You're being too controversial for me. You're going to get my show taken off the air. It's fun to pick cotton.
It's fun.
Most of the cotton grown throughout the world is picked by hand. Pickers go into the fields with long sacks hung over one shoulder. They go between the rows, picking the fluffy cotton. The long sack drags along the ground behind the picker. The picker must stoop over most of the time in order to pick the cotton from the top to the bottom of the stalk. It is hard, back-breaking work.
It makes a man out of you.
Really?
You know, I said once on my radio show that because most blacks are so lazy now,
Oh, Jesus.
because of the government taking care of them.
Really? Really dumbass. Really? So all those people in the NBA, all those NBA All-Stars, they're late. All those black people in the MLB, all those black people in the fucking NFL Hall of Fame, whether they just get there by accident. Those 30 black guys in the NHL. No, seriously, there's actually 30 black guys in the NHL. One of them just won a Stanley Cup. All the black bodybuilders, all the black boxers, all the black MMA fighters, they're all lazy. All the black people in the Olympics, all the black people in the fucking United States military. I seriously have no idea why white supremacists and coons fucking use this talking point. It's by far the easiest one to debunk. Even if you're a vicious racist and you hate black people, you know who Michael Jordan is. You know who The Rock is. You know who Ray Lewis is. I know racists aren't known for their intelligence, but goddamn, you know at least one black person who isn't fucking lazy. And if you don't, I'll be more than happy to show you a few. Oh, we're only 2 minutes into this fucking video.
Uh-huh.
And then a lot of them are born with single mothers only in the homes, and
Yes.
the mothers don't make them work.
Citation, please.
I said, I'm going to go to Alabama, buy some land, create a plantation, and I'm going to take the blacks back down there to show them how to work and be independent and earn their way. And all hell broke loose when I said that. Oh, he's for slavery, he's for that. But I knew what I meant by that.
Right.
Yes, you heard it here, folks. This idiot wanted to open a damn plantation, take a bunch of black people down there, and then show them how to work, I guess. And then when people called him out on this bullshit, he just ignored them. On top of being unbelievably fucking stupid, it's also incredibly vague. Like, he didn't say how many black people wanted to bring over there. He just said black people. And he didn't say where he was gonna get them from. Alabama, like, he wasn't specific at all.
And so when we were growing up, the boys would be taken out of school twice a year to plant the crop and then to bring it in. But yet, they got married. For the most part, blacks got married.
Right.
I didn't hear it was rare that you would hear out of wedlock birth.
What are you basing that off of? Are you saying that because you don't know anybody who got pregnant out of wedlock that it just didn't happen in Alabama? Yeah, I'm from Alabama, and I don't know anybody who got knocked up when I was a teenager, so that means nobody in Alabama ever got knocked up. Yeah, that's real scientific.
And if they did, a young lady got pregnant out of wedlock, if she didn't get married, she would have to go in hiding. Oh, where's Susie? She went up north.
So if a woman got pregnant and wasn't married, she would, go into exile? By herself? Yeah, shaming people into moving to a different state because they made a mistake. Yeah, that's real civilized.
But she was
Well, now
hiding
it's the
with-
norm. 75% of black children are
75%.
fatherless.
They
I think it
bought
was
land.
17% back in 1960.
When I was growing up, it was less than 10%. When I was growing up.
Wow.
As much as I fucking hate to admit it, Jesse actually has a point here. Now, 75% is pretty high. I did find a few sources that said it wasn't quite that high. According to some sources, it's as low as like 58% or something like that. But regardless, it's pretty fucking high. Now, I was originally gonna kind of disprove this notion by saying that the reason there's so many fatherless households is because that during custody battles, overwhelming majority of the time, the courts are biased towards women. But then I found this article that said that most of the time when the custody of a child is being discussed, the courts don't even decide it. The parents handle that outside of court. And the article wasn't written by any guy off the street. It was written by a divorce lawyer.
And abortion was unheard of. I knew no one who ever had an abortion.
Again, how would you know that? Abortion isn't something you talk about at the dinner table. It's a very, very personal thing. People don't just Talk about that.
And so, and then we never heard the word racism. That word came about after the civil rights movement started. I think it came about around the late 40s, early 50s, 60s, somewhere in there, right? It was right versus wrong, good versus evil. You know, I'm a Christian, and in the scriptures it says, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spirits and principalities and evil, wickedness in high places. So either you're on the side of good or you're on the side of evil. And I remember when I was growing up, if a black family didn't raise their children correctly, my grandparents would say, do not hang out with those kids. Those are bad kids. Their parents are no good. You know, they didn't.
You're being too controversial here.
I genuinely have no idea what he's talking about there. He's trying to disprove racism by saying that some kids' parents were better than us.
You're saying that it was better
Yes.
in the 60s than it is now. And there, blacks did commit crime about the same they did in the white population back then. And now it's wildly disproportionate. And the fatherlessness was about the same as whites back then. And now it's wildly disproportionate. So I can stomach that argument, but it's too controversial for this show. So let's just try 2018. Like, my dad grew up dirt poor, didn't have shoes, busted his ass, fought physically and metaphorically, became middle class, and I see these kids in the Bronx and in Harlem, and I think, if you show up for class, get C's, you're gonna get a scholarship at a city college.
Name one. Name one damn person who got average grades their whole life and got a freaking free ride scholarship somewhere. So you're saying that colleges are just giving out free money in fucking the Bronx or somewhere. Some college somewhere just doesn't want to make profit.
And you're going to get employed. But the narrative is that someone's going to look at a resume and go, this is a great resume. Jesse Lee Peterson, yeah, he does a bunch of talk shows, yeah. I think we're going to... Oh, I didn't know you were black.
Yeah.
Is that a myth? That in 2018, a black has to work twice as hard as a white to survive?
No, that's a lie. Black, you're supposed to work hard. Those who work hard survive.
I agree.
And if that was true, you know, if I hire someone, I want you to work hard. First of all, you're working for me. I need to pay you. And when you work hard, it builds character.
Could you imagine working for this sack of shit? Oh my God, my head would explode in the first fucking day.
And so any person who works hard, whether they're black or white, Asian, Mexican, or whatever, if you work hard in life, you're going to succeed. And so I do hear blacks say that, but they're saying it as though it's a race issue. And like white people are requiring them to do something that they would not require themselves or others.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, remember all those times LeBron James was pointing the finger at all the white people in the NBA, making excuses.
It's insane. I do want to tell you this. Growing up in Alabama, one of my aunts got married, she and her husband, and they bought land. They did well. They had like 15 or 16 kids.
God damn.
This is under the Jim Crow laws, right? They had land, they worked hard.
16.
They had like 15 or 16 kids. It might have been more. I think it was 19, but a couple died.
Oh, my God.
But listen
Is this cunt really laughing at his dead relative?
to this. All of them went to college and graduated.
Wow.
They are doctors and lawyers and whatever else they do. Each and every one. And this was during the Jim Crow era when all this was happening. Another aunt got married, an uncle got married. They had truckloads of children. They educated their kids. They went to black colleges. Some of them didn't go. Most did not go, but they knew how to work. And when they left home, they got married, they bought homes, they worked hard, they took care of themselves. This whole welfare thing came about under the Lyndon B. Johnson and the Civil Rights Movement.
No. Welfare was created during the 1930s, during the FDR administration. Like, that's pretty basic information. How do you not know that?
And blacks today, not all, are suffering due to race, due to the lack of character and the destruction of the family.
Exactly how did welfare destroy the family?
It has nothing to do with color at all, except they've been lied to by the Democrats and the liberal media.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. What you're saying is remarkably dangerous
Yeah.
for the DNC
Yeah.
because they've put all their eggs in the racism basket.
Yeah.
All their eggs in one basket? What the hell are you talking about? Liberals and Democrats talk about all kinds of stuff. Freedom of speech, universal health care, global warming. They don't just talk about racism. It's a big part of it, don't get me wrong. It's not all of it.
America's racist.
Yeah.
Joe Biden says, I know it sucks having 2 murders a day in the south side of Chicago and all this fatherlessness, but if the GOP wins, they're going to have you back in chains.
Yeah.
And they've put all their eggs in a lie.
It's all lies.
Those eggs are going to shatter.
It's all lies. And that's why I want to destroy this idea about racism, because it's a made-up lie. It's a made-up word, and the word is made up to intimidate white people and to keep blacks angry.
Okay, Jesse, if racism is a made-up word, what do you call this?
We did everything and you did nothing. That's why I always say white people should stay out of 3 things: the truth, history, and the sun. None of them like you. They'll burn you, girl.
All white people are racist. So I put this up.
That little laugh right there, she's like, yo, y'all really still sitting here?
She's like, yo, I'm bugging, like, y'all really here?
She's like, yo, I'm about to flame all of y'all.
Boy.
I put this up because I really want any white person in the room to know up front that this is what we're dealing with, that it's not going to be this coddling of white tears and what that looks like. We're not going to discuss, oh, maybe some of us have worked it out. No, you're always going to be racist, actually. So even when you're on your path.
This is transgender model Monroe Bergdorf. Earlier this week, a major makeup firm hired her as one of the faces of modern diversity for an advertising campaign.
I just decided to start speaking more about my experience.
But just days later, she's been sacked by the firm for a now deleted Facebook post in the wake of white supremacist rallies in Charlottesville, suggesting that all white people are racist. She said, "Honestly, I don't have energy to talk about the racial violence of white people anymore. Yes, all white people." She continued, "Your entire existence is drenched in racism. Once white people begin to admit that their race is the most violent and oppressive force of nature on earth, then we can talk."
No, girl. White people have only invented 3 things: pillaging, plundering, and oppression.
Because I would call that a bunch of black people being racist. But no, since according to you, racism doesn't exist. So I was curious as to what you would call that.
Because if you believe into a lie, that lie control you, right? Because we live by belief. We live by faith. And so whatever you believes in believes in you, and it controls you. And so when they say it's racism, then blacks go into an automatic trance and they do whatever these people want them to do.
It becomes a curse.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a mind control curse.
And then white people head for the hill because they're afraid of that one word. And so the race hustlers know that.
The race what?
And so whenever they want to get more power or get wealth, they throw out that word. Look at the Democratic Party now. They're desperate. The liberals are desperate.
They're still, the whole campaign is hate has no home here.
Right.
So they're still going with that basket.
Yeah, and guess what? They're still losing. If all liberals had to do was throw out a word and they have black people support, then they wouldn't be desperate right now. They just say the word and all their problems will be solved. You just debunked yourself. And that whole racism has no home here or whatever it's called, that's not a Democrat thing. That's just anti-racism thing. It's not that political.
Because they have nothing else to offer, right? And so if they can get you to believe that the president is a racist, that conservatives are racist, then they're hoping that the blacks and Hispanics and others would continue to vote for them.
I don't think it's
a
going to
lie.
work.
It's a
You
made-up
can't
lie.
hedge your bets with a lie.
Right.
Now, I remember you were supposed to be on Piers Morgan.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yes.
Whatever happened with that?
So I was on there, and we were talking about the immigration issue, and during the discussion, it was so funny. I was surprised, though, but it was so funny. So during the discussion, I was talking about the illegal aliens, and then I brought up the radical homosexuals, and I talked about what they were doing, how it was wrong.
The radical homosexuals. I genuinely have no idea how to respond to that.
But they cut my mic. They cut it off, right? And then I'm like, what's going on? And they told me later, you can't talk about radical homosexuals. You can't call them that. And the host that was sitting with Pierce said, not only can you not say it, you can't think it. You can't even think that.
Doesn't that just say everything right there?
It does.
Racism exists. To say
Not
that
true.
it's something that somebody made up is absolutely ridiculous. What do you think the KKK stands for then? What you think they were, because they're wearing white robes, they're a peace organization? Come on, let's be serious here. Kanye
Well, the
did start
KKK was an
backpedaling.
evil
I suspect.
The KKK.
Trisha,
The
finish your point.
KKK was an
Well, okay.
evil organization, just like Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is a far-left, liberal, radical, agitative organization founded by a bunch of black lesbians and homosexuals and
Mr. Peterson,
radical
I suggest you give...
Okay, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Mr. Peterson, you're now descending into extremely unpleasant and frankly vile rhetoric. And I don't know why you think this is appropriate to say this on national television, but what you just said is completely unacceptable.
Again, I hate to admit it, but Jesse's right.
I'm thinking, how will you control my thinking?
That's really what they want to do. It's one thing to say, this is my show, don't say that.
Right.
Or it's another thing to build a fence and say you can't go on this side of the fence. But they want to invade our bodies and get into our minds.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Orwellian.
She literally said, you can't think it. And Pierce said, you can't be no more talking about the radical homosexual. You're not, he called it racist or something. But they cut my mic. And I was supposed to be on for like 2 segments or something.
Well, you also, you denied homophobia, Islamophobia, racism. Right. You went beyond just mentioning radical homosexuals. You said all of these isms, are totally blown out of proportion.
Okay, Genia. If Islamophobia and homophobia don't exist, what do you call this?
Islamophobia has driven a first grader and his family out of America, believing that Islamabad, Pakistan is a safer place to raise their children than North Carolina. This is 7-year-old Abdul Aziz, a Florida-born boy with Pakistani parents. His father posted this picture of him injured after reportedly being bullied and beaten by his classmates on the school bus for being Muslim. This was not the first anti-Muslim attack on this family.
A Sacramento Baptist preacher issued extreme and troubling comments in a videotaped sermon, actually praising the Orlando club attacks.
Hey, are you sad that 50 pedophiles were killed today? No, I think that's great. I think that helps society. You know, I think Orlando, Florida is a little safer tonight.
His inflammatory video was uploaded to YouTube under the Verity Baptist Church account.
That's right.
And you're not allowed to even think that.
You're not allowed to think it. And it's so sad because it's either right or wrong. You know, if you and I got angry at each other right now, it's not about my color, and it's not about your color. We're just disagreeing on an issue.
Right.
But it has nothing to do with color, but we allow these people to put the isms in there, and they control you with that. And so if you're not aware, you see each other with color rather than the character of the person.
Yep. According to Jesse Lee Peterson, you should never, ever, ever look at someone based on their color. You should always look at the content of their character. Never look at their skin color.
Here's this black NFL player. I've said over and over again that black people, and it wasn't always this way, it just came about over the last 60 years, that black Americans are very destructive, that they are on earth to destroy and not to build, to destroy and not to improve. You know, Satan said that, Satan came to rob, steal, and kill. Black people are on earth to rob, steal, and kill. That because most blacks are so lazy now and destroy. I don't know of anywhere in this country, and no one has told me any place around the world, but in this country, where majority of black people live, and it's a place that you're just dying to go live in. You know, I don't know anywhere. I don't know of any time in the last 60 years or so where majority of black people have voted or supported a good man or woman. They always choose the worst. Here's another example of black people destroying something that's good. Everything they touch turn to ghetto.
The Eagles were set to visit the White House. And in a White House statement, Trump said that the fans deserve better.
Yep. But the blacks don't care about better. Really, they're not mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, or morally up to par, and they do not care. Another line, trashy black.
Yeah.
Yep, Jesse Lee Peterson is completely colorblind.
Jesse Lee Peterson, thank you for coming on this show and for being so controversial. This will be our last episode.
We got to tell the truth.
That guy was born on a plantation?
I think he's fascinating. I can't wait.
No, we already saw the interview.
Who is she?